Awesome. Thanks, Kim. And thanks all of you for joining us today. Awesome of you to take a little bit of time out of your day to spend with us. And thank you so much, InterDyn BMI, for having us. We really appreciate it. So what we're going to be talking about today are the Rockton software products that make GP work simpler and easier. And in case you don't have a background on Rockton software, just to give you a little history on the company, we've been around since 1999, so forever in software years. And really we've spent all of that time developing the 5 products that we're going to take a look at today. And really the core focus of anything that we do here at Rockton is to make your lives easier. So we've got kind of snippets of each of these tools that I'm going to be showing you guys today. And just kind of think in your day-to-day life, would this make things a little bit easier or make your job simpler to do during the day? So we're going to start out and we're going to take a look at our SmartFill product, which is by far and away our most popular product. And that's because really anyone that has GP has a need for this product. It's basically a Google or a Bing style search tool for finding your way around your records in GP. So we're going to get into the product. I prefer to demo rather than PowerPoint you to death. So we're going to go ahead and get into that, and we'll take a peek at it right now. And I'm going to be switching a couple of screens here, so bear with me. All right. All right, so we are now in GP, and if that's not what you're seeing, Kim, let me know. But we're going to take a look at how Perfect, okay. We're going to look at how SmartFill can help you find those records a lot faster than the plain old GP searching. So right now I've pulled up the account maintenance window, and if you think about your day-to-day operations, just in general, doesn't matter what part of GP you work in, but think about how many times a day you guys click on this magnifying glass. I'm sure it's probably more than once. And what SmartFill does is eliminate the need for you to click on this. So think of all the places that you're clicking on that and how much easier it would be if you could just search based on what you know. So with SmartFill, rather than clicking to find an account, if we're looking for a cash account, we can just type cash right across where you would normally have to have a number. We hit our tab key, and SmartFill goes through the entire chart of accounts and brings me back just cash accounts. So you saw how fast that went through that screen. Now think about how much time you spend opening up that account set and then sorting it and maybe, you know, trying to alphabetize it or find the right alias, whatever. This went a lot quicker. Now from here, I could just simply double click and it would fill in that value for me. And I can keep going. Otherwise, if I needed to subset search, maybe I've got hundreds of cash accounts. I could do that just by coming up into the little subset search and typing something else about that cash account. Maybe it's a cash bank account. Hit tab. There my results go from 12 down to 7. So you can see how just in that window how much faster things are. But now maybe you guys have employees. If you use payroll, I bet you do. So let's look at a payroll employee. I bet you know your employees' last names or their first names, but you don't always know their ID number. So in the event that you've got that going on, let's just say we're looking for John. Well, we've only got one John in our system, so it just populated that for me. I didn't have to know Chen 0001. So you can see how quick that works. And this is going to work all over your system. So it's not just in the cards windows, it's also going to be at that transaction level. So if you think about maybe entering a general ledger journal entry, how much faster if you could just quick rattle off just pieces of that journal entry number. Maybe you know the segment of an account, you can do that with SmartFill. And you can also customize it so that it works the way that you want it to. So I'm going to show you guys how easy that is because I am in sales. I am not a developer, and I don't know what I'm doing when it comes to coding things. So this means if I can do this, you guys can do this. So we're going to kind of tweak the way that we search our vendors. So let's open this up. And we're going to just add some additional search criteria. Real easy. Now, out of the box, SmartFill comes with over 4,000 pre-set up lookups. So you really don't have to customize or set anything up when you purchase this product. You just install it and it just starts working. But if you want to set something up so that it's, you know, more to the way that you guys use it, and I should have opened this screen first, it's really easy to do. So before I show you that, I'm just going to show you all of the objects. So these are basically the places that you search that SmartFill is already working. So it comes with 20 already set up pieces, and then you can just tweak these the way that you want to or create your own. So if you guys have third-party products, maybe you're using a key to act product or a collections management or multi-entity management, something like that. Those are super easy to set up. Actually, if you're using multi-entity management, we already have a little library going. So partners like BMI create objects, and then those are set up. You can just download them for free off of our website. But these are the places it's already searching, and we're going to just kind of change the vendor one a tiny bit. So I want to be able to search my vendors by their states. So I can see it's already set up. It's searching by their cities, by their names, their IDs. But if we want to add state, this is just linked to everything that I could search in that vendor master table. So I'm going to say I want to search by the city and state. I can change my columns the way that make a selection window looks just by dragging these fields. I hit save and I'm done. So if I can do that, you can definitely do that. And now let's see how it works when we actually go out here. So we're in the vendor maintenance window, and if we want to search by, let's just say Minnesota, we search MN. This goes through and finds anyone in the state of Minnesota, or if they have MN somewhere in their name or their ID. So we can see here with the Comet Enterprises, that's where we get that MN, but otherwise we're looking at Minnesota vendors. So that's simple, right? Very easy, fun to use, saves me a heck of a lot of time in my day-to-day GP operations. So again, that's going to work cards, inquiries, transactions, third parties, you name it, it's going to work. It's amazing. Yay, SmartFill. So next, we're going to take a look at our Dynamics Report Manager. And I'll pull up this slide for you guys here just a second. Okay, so Dynamics Report Manager. This is the second product. So all of these, I'm just going to kind of break them out individually so you can see which ones do what. This is basically a report launching tool. So we're trying to simplify how you do reporting in GP. It's not an authoring tool, so we're not building reports for you and we're not making them any prettier. You guys have to do that work. But we're giving you a place where you can kind of centralize your reporting and then easily schedule reports, print them, email them, do all of the stuff that you would want to do with your reports. So I'm going to just show you some of the basics here on my GP. Scoot that out of the way. All right, so Report Manager. First thing everybody needs to know is that every single user gets their own Report Manager Explorer window. So that's what we're looking at here. And this is basically going to show you every report in GP that you have access to. So as a system administrator or as a report administrator, you're going to import all the reports into this Report Explorer window. And that's going to allow Dynamics Report Manager to start passing parameters. So if you want this report to just print for certain customers, or this is grabbing all of your invoices in a certain batch, that's the kind of setup stuff that we do behind the scenes. And then the automation portion is what your end users are going to see. So they're going to come in here and they're going to be able to print these reports anytime they want. So if I wanted to print this customer sales report, I have security to it. I can simply queue it up, and that's going to send it over to my print list. And this is where I can say, hey, do I want to email this report? Do I want to print it? Do I want to send it to file? Do I want to just view it? What do I want to do with that report? I can email it out right here, so really easy. And right now it's set up so that it's just automatically going to pass all the parameters for me. I can hit print, and this is kicking off a Crystal report for me. So the report types that you're bringing into Dynamics Report Manager aren't just your report writer reports. These are going to be Crystal, SSRS, Management Reporter, Excel reports. You can still use report writer reports, but basically any report type you want, you import it in here, and then this is going to print for you. So this was a Crystal report. I only need one license of Crystal, which can save me some dollars at the end of the day. But you can see I've got my nice little sales by customer report, and it took just a couple seconds to kick that off for me. So I could have emailed this off to some customers or to management, whatever I wanted to do. But that was a Crystal report with Dynamics Report Manager. And then, like I said, there's some automation. So, for example, scheduling reports. Maybe you want to schedule all your month-end reports. Do you have a lot of those, perhaps? Scheduling those is really easy. I can go as frequently as by hours. So here I'm just doing a month-end report, but if I wanted to do a daily or an hourly report, I could just adjust those settings. But basically what I'm doing is I've got several reports here. I've got 3 different reports that on my month end, so the last day of the month at midnight, this is going to kick off all of those reports, and it's going to email it out to all of my management team. So this can save you that time that it would take to sit around and wait for those reports to generate. Maybe you've got some really long list reports. This is going to do it for you when you're not in the office and have those all on those folks' desks in the morning ready to go for the first day of the month. So that's one of the launch point options. So these are the automation. Another option is to put reports where you want them to be. Where do they make sense? So you can use things like your additional menu. So if we come up and look at perhaps cards, we can come up here, grab our customer, and we can stick those reports up in our additional menu. So where we would drop down from here, I can print out a sales report and it'll appear just up in this menu for me. You can also attach it to buttons. So like a print button, for example, if you have a pretty Crystal invoice that you would rather have printed versus the report writer report that GP normally does, you can attach it to that print button, and then that has the automation behind it to close out the report writer report and open up that pretty Crystal report. So those are some of the functions of the Dynamics Report Manager. Okay, next product I'm going to show you, I don't have a slide on it. It is our OmniPrice, and this is going to be for those of you that have pricing concerns or issues. GP standard pricing doesn't really have all the answers if you guys have more complex scenarios that you need to run. So what we're thinking about with pricing is, you know, do you have, for example, a customer that should get specific pricing on items? Or maybe you run specials, monthly specials, weekly specials, daily specials, anything like that. Do you want to be able to price based on, you know, percentages of cost? Those are scenarios that OmniPrice can help you with. And I'm going to just open up our OmniPrice Contracts and give you a quick tour. This is a really simple pricing product to work with. It's basically got 3 screens total, and the majority of your time is spent right inside of this screen. You can give your contract a name, so we can call this our InterDyn contract. We can give it a priority, so you can have multiple contracts. There's unlimited numbers, but you might have multiple contracts for just a certain customer or just a certain item or manufacturer. So you can have lots of different priorities. Which one wins if all the pieces fall into place? So we can put that in. We let you put in additional distribution accounts if you need those for discounts. And then you get to use some filters. So for example, with our customers, we could say, hey, this contract's for everybody in the customer list. We could say this is just for one customer. We could use national accounts, or we can create a customer filter. And the cool thing with our filters is that we give you a lot of ranges to pick from. So if we're doing a customer filter here for InterDyn, I can range my customers anywhere from their the certain person that sells to them, to their location, to the type of shipping method that they use. So I can come through here and select all of those different pieces and then build this contract up and use that filter on another contract so I can kind of save some time as far as setup goes. Same thing goes for items. You can create item filters for all your items or for single items or specified items. So those kind of filters are going to pull right off the item card. So things like description, unit of measure, manufacturer, any of those, you can use those to create those filters. And then the date filters are really popular because a lot of times you don't necessarily want to be up at midnight on the 31st of December creating next year's price list. This lets you create those price lists months, years in advance if you want to, and do a date filter. So you can say, hey, this contract kicks off on January 1st, and you're ready to go. And you set this up back in September. So the date filters are great for those promotional pricing times and then also for getting next year ready to go. And then the last filter, we have our additional filters. And this product works with sales order processing. So this is going to pull additional options right off of the sales order processing transaction entry window. So you can sell by, again, salesperson, if you have, a ship to address that's getting special pricing, or you have maybe a promotional price. Maybe you guys went out and did a trade show and you've got a comment code or something like that that you want to use, or a promo code. We can even pull in things off of the user-defined fields. So if your promo is, Summer Splash, if someone puts that in on that sales transaction entry window, we can have that contract then pick it up and give you that special price. So those are kind of how the filters work. I'm going to show you a contract I already have set up, and this is for my hospitality industry. So anyone that works in, hotels, resorts, things like that, they're good customers of mine. I want to give them a special price. So I'm going to look at my different pricing modes. So I pulled in a couple of items. This is only specific to those hospitality customers, but everything else is kind of fair game. So anytime I sell my 100 XLG, I am going to sell that at a fixed price. And these are the different pricing modes that you guys can use. So a fixed price, it's always $25 or whatever. A fixed adjustment is always plus or minus a dollar amount. Then we have percentages of cost. So we have standard and current cost. And then your percentages of list, a percentage of a calculated price. So if you're in standard pricing and you're using some of those price levels that GP allows you to use, maybe you have special pricing for distribution and wholesale customers, but then you've got another price for retail, you can create pricing based on those numbers as well. Then we've got markups on cost, margins on cost, and then discounts off of list and discounts off of those special prices that you have in those price levels. So lots and lots of options as far as, how do I want to set these prices up? What kind of math am I using? So here we've got our 100 XLG getting sold for $27, and our 128 is 50% of the list price. Now if I go out to sell those, we'll just come out and sell that 100 XLG quick. I'll show you how it works and how it does some math for us. So let's say we're looking for medical. We'll go ahead and use that. That's a toolbox tool. We'll use a little smart fill while we're at it. And maybe I'm looking for something green. I'm going to sell my green phone. So this is, again, SmartFill working here at the transaction level. And, of course, you got to get some error messages. It's not a demo without an error. And then once I tab off of this invoice quantity, that's when SmartFill goes to work. And what I just realized is that I picked a customer that wasn't in that customer filter. So they're not going to get that special price. So I'm actually going to have to go back and pick a different customer in order for this to work. So let's just quick delete this guy. And we'll come down and we'll grab Astor Suites because I know they're in there. And we'll grab that green item again. Oh, these errors are fun. Okay, and then once I tab off, that's when OmniPrice recalculates that price. So it turned it down to $27 from $59. And if I want to see how it arrived at that, I can just use our hotkey, our Control-Z, to open our price check window. And then my reps that are on the phone can explain exactly how we got to that price. So if we think that we should be getting a better deal, or there's other options for them, they can see right here all this information. They can drill back on if they need to. But based on that customer, here's the costing of that item, exactly how it looks in GP, in the inventory, and then what account, or excuse me, what contract we're using, and how we got to that price. So we know that based on this, there was no quantity break or anything. It was always the same. We had that fixed price of $27. So really, really, really easy to use. We do have a mass contract update for you too. So if you need to update a whole bunch of stuff at one time and you don't want to mess with it individually one by one, you can use that mass contract update and get to those special prices a lot faster. So that is OmniPrice in a nutshell. So now I'm going to talk you guys through, we've got 2 products left, so you're doing good. Let me grab that screen. All right, so we've got our auditor screen up here. Scoot some of this stuff out of the way. So Auditor is probably another one of our very, very most popular products, right behind SmartFill. And this is for those of you that might have a ghost that lives in your GP, someone that makes changes and doesn't tell you about those changes in your system. Maybe somebody is, doing something fraudulent. That happens sometimes. Auditor is a way for you to track those changes at that field level so that you can say for sure it was Mr. Plum in the library with the candlestick that made the change. So we give you all of that information, probably not the clue information, but we'll tell you exactly what user did it, the date and time they made the change, and then we give you some more options around that as well. So we're going to show you guys how to do some auditing. Jump back over to GP here, and we're going to go grab a vendor. So the first thing to kind of keep in mind with Rockton Auditor that sets us apart from some of the other auditing solutions that are out there is that our audits are field specific. So that means, number one, we're not taking snapshots of an entire table, which a lot of other products do. We're letting you get really specific on, hey, these are the things that I need to know about. I need to know when someone changes an address. I need to know if someone adds a vendor or changes a check name, something like that. I don't necessarily care about phone numbers being changed or, things like that. So this is going to allow you the flexibility of picking exactly the pieces that you want and then not having that big overhead of tons and tons of data to sift through for reporting or to store on your server. So that's my spiel about that. Let's pick a vendor out of Chicago. So we'll let SmartFill go to work here. We've got lots and lots of Chicago vendors. We'll grab Harvey. And we're going to make a few changes. So like I said, I've got field-specific audits running, And I'm auditing lots of different fields on this window. I'm not limited to like 1 or 2. I can do as many as I like. So we're going to change this, and we'll pick on Kim since she was so nice to have me here today. So we're going to change Kim's information, and she's going to put in her name for that vendor check name, which is a big no-no. Then we'll have it get mailed directly to Kim. I'm going to make up an address for her. And I think she's in Minneapolis now. Minnesota. All right. So we've got 2 options with every field that we audit. Number 1, you can audit silently in the background. That means that your end users are never aware that there's an audit happening on the screen. They don't see any big flashes. There's no alarms going off, no SWAT team busting, none of that. It just happens in the background, and they don't know that it's going on. Second option is that you can require them to tell you why they made a change. So that might be important if you're adding a new record. Maybe you're changing payroll information, something like that. So I'm going to show you both examples. So as soon as I hit save, that's when Auditor writes my audit to my tables, and that's when this little note maintenance window pops up. So we're asking the SA user, hey, you changed it from the check name from Harvey Ellison McGraw to Kim Peterson. Why? So you guys could set up predefined reasons if there's going to be a common reason a change is occurring, or they can free text type in here as well. So Kim is honest, and she's telling us that she was committing fraud. Then we just apply that note to the change, and it goes on its merry way. Now down here in the lower right-hand corner, this is a message center notification that goes out in real time to the folks that you have set up as audit administrators. So those are not the same as your SA users, so we have that kind of distinction. These are going to be going out to them via message center, so we have our own message center built right into GP so that it saves all those audit changes, or you could have this send you an email too. So maybe your CFO doesn't access GP and you need to let them know. You can have that email come out, and then they get the information that they need on those changes. But those are all customizable too. You can notify people on certain changes and then not notify them on others. So now everything's happened, and I can go report on those changes. And another unique feature to Rockton Auditor is that our reports are all in GP SmartList. So if you're familiar with SmartList, this is going to be a piece of cake as far as creating a report. So we create this lovely little Auditor folder for you as soon as you install the product. And if we expand that out, we've got 3 subfolders in here. So audits are everything system-wide. We live inside the Dynamics database, so that means that we can simultaneously audit all of your companies at the same time, so you don't have to create those audits in every single company. And all of that information is held in this folder. So you can parse out the data however you want, by company, by user, what have you. E-sign approvals is a feature included with Auditor, and this allows you to actually put an approval lock on a field. So it's not on buttons, it's on fields. But if I wanted to lock, for example, the vendor check name so that Kim couldn't change that without having Alicia or Jane or somebody else approve that change, I can do an e-sign approval. So then it's going to require 2 different passwords, the password of the person making the change as well as the approver, in order for that change to happen. So then we keep that entire activity separate in this folder so that you can go in and see who's been approving different types of changes or denying those changes. So we track both options, whether or not the approval happened. If they can't get an approval, then that change is going to revert back to the previous value. So that means we don't want to give them the okay to change that and do some work in there until we're sure that that's the legitimate change. And then the last folder is security audits. And this is important for those of you that are trying to meet SOX compliance, or if you have auditors breathing down the back of your neck. We will automatically track all of the changes to your GP security. All you have to do is mark one little checkbox when you're setting up Auditor. So we will track things like creating a new user, if you create a new role in GP security, if you give access to a role or take access away from a user. Anything like that is all tracked for you automatically, and it's all kept separate. So you can basically go into this folder any day of the week and run it for a certain change for a certain period of time, and then there you have a very nice, concise, this is everything that happened to my security, the end. So that is very cool with Auditor. But we're going to go look at the audits folder, and this is a new install of GP, so I don't have a ton of data in here. But this is everything system-wide, so changes that I've been making to, clearly I worked on some 1099 stuff, we did some vendor changes, I can track transactional data if I want to. But how I parse out and create my actual reports is simply using the search criteria. Now if you have SmartList Builder or SmartList Designer, you can use those too, but Auditor's basically built right on top of generic SmartList. Oh, names are too close. So you don't have to know how to use those other two products. You can just use the search criteria that's built into SmartList. So if I wanted to come out here and get just specific user changes, I could do where user ID is equal to SA user, Kim user, whoever I want. I can do date ranges. So let's take a look at all the changes that happened today. There's everything that I've changed in my system today that I'm auditing for. So I can see those 3 changes that I made to the address information. Those weren't changes that I was notifying system administrators on or requiring notes on. So those just happened. But here's that vendor check name one that we wanted that additional piece of information on. So if we open this up, this is our audit inquiry window. And this is kind of the whole reason people buy the product. So we're always going to give you that date and time stamp so you know exactly when it happened. We'll show you the user that made the change, the workstation that they were logged into. This is going to work with web client as well as on terminal servers. So we'll basically just tell you, which workstation they were logged into. In the event of terminal server, it's going to tell you it was the terminal server. The company and database that the change affected, the type of audit it was. Now, cool thing with Auditor is you can audit what's happening on the GP side as well as on the back end side. So you could pick a SQL table type audit and be able to track any changes that happen with an integration that writes direct to table, or maybe an DBA that's gone in and made an update, insert, delete statement, or a third-party product that maybe doesn't live inside of GP. You can track any of those types of things as long as they're on the same instance of SQL as GP with a SQL table audit. Then we show you the event type. So we can track adding a new record, deleting an existing record, or editing an existing record. So this is just going to kind of give you a clue as to which activity was taking place. Then we've got a name for it, product name, again, third-party products, A-OK here, extender windows, any of that type of stuff, you can audit that. We'll just tell you which one you're auditing. Then we show you the field that was changed, the table that field lives in, the record key, in this case that's the vendor ID that we changed, old value, new value, and then any notes that you require the end user to put in. If you weren't requiring notes, then that just stays blank. But you can see it's a really nice snapshot of exactly what things were before and what things are now and why. So that's kind of the whole basis of the Auditor product. Now, we did have some requests from customers on additional information around things that are happening in the general ledger. So last summer, we added a new feature called the Journal Voucher Roadmap. So if we go up to Inquiry and we grab Auditor and we grab that roadmap, this is basically a nice place for you guys to look to see who created some of your batches, who created journal entries, who approved them, who posted them, when, why, all of that information, all in one window. So if we come in here and we search for a journal entry, so let's grab this journal entry here. I can search by number, I can look by created, approved, posted. I've got lots of options as far as searching goes. If I redisplay that, I can see that this batch name was created by my SA user on December 13th. It didn't get approved. It was posted by Sarah to the general ledger on the 13th as well. So I can kind of see for trends. I know a lot of people have concerns about, hey, I don't want the same user that created a journal entry to post it. This gives you that look back to see, hey, did that actually happen? You can also look at this information in detail. So this allows you to see the accounts that were updated, the debit and credit amounts, and then all of this can be printed out. So if you need to kind of have an edit list of, hey, here's proof that we are following the right procedures and everybody's doing what they're supposed to do, we'll be able to print this out and hand it over to an auditor and say, okay, take a look at my GL and see if we're doing things correctly. So this is a new feature to Auditor, and just something I wanted to bring up because we get a lot of calls and questions on it. So that is Auditor. There's a lot of information in there. There's some additional features that I don't really have time to go over today, but if you guys have questions on that one, go ahead and type them into the chat box or send them over to Kim and we'll get them answered as soon as we get done here with this last product. So you guys are doing awesome. All right, got to get a sip of water and we can continue on. So the Dynamics GP Toolbox, the last product we're going to look at, and the product with the most features out of anything that we sell. So this toolkit is a complete set of tools, 27 of them to be exact, that does a little bit of everything. Basically how this tool was developed and has developed over time is we have awesome partners like InterDyn BMI. We have amazing customers like yourselves that come to us or call us and tell us, we wish GP did this. We wish we could approve payments in a nice, easy window. We wish that we could find windows in GP or manage our security better. So over time, as those suggestions have come out, we have developed those into little tools that we've combined into this product so that you have basically at your disposal a place to fix a lot of the inefficiencies in GP, if you will. So I'm going to show you guys some of the most popular ones, and then we'll go into questions at that right after that. So let's take a peek at the toolbox. Back to GP. All right. So I'm going to open the toolkit up here for you. And the first thing that you're going to notice is that all of our tools are kind of broken out into categories. So we have our security category, our administration, business process, and then the user experience. Now, what you should think about with this user experience, a lot of people come in and they say, well, Alicia, we don't want to buy Toolbox for all of our users because that's how our products are priced. Well, with the Toolbox, you're also getting tools that every single user in GP gets access to and can use. So we didn't create this just for your DBAs or just for your SA users. This is really for everyone. So we're going to look at some of those features that everybody loves. And we'll start with Security Manager. Security Manager was designed to make GP security less cumbersome and a little bit more intuitive for you. Unless you really like it the way it is, then you can just use GP security. But what this window does is it is a grid formatted window that lays out your user's access in a way that you can understand. So first thing you're going to do is pick a company. If you have multiple companies, you'll see them all listed there. So we're looking at that specific company's security. Then you're going to pick a filter. We come preloaded with a few filter options, and then you can always create your own as well. But who has access to what roles, what posting permissions, what windows, what smart lists, any of those you can pick from. I'm looking at this at the role level, so that fills in down this left-hand side. We'll pop out our little legend here just so you can kind of see what each of the little icons means. Then you get to select your users. So this is going to bring up my entire list of GP users, and everyone I can pull in across the top here. So if I want to compare and contrast a user, maybe someone left my company and I have a new person taking over, and I want to make sure that their security is lined up. I can see that in this window. I could look at just one single user, or I can pull in a whole bunch of them, whatever I want to do. So those users that I select under this selection are going to appear across the top. And then I get to say how much detail do I want to know about. Everything in this window prints out into a report. So I can have as much detail as I need. I could go really high level, and I just want to see the roles that my users can access, the end. Okay, I could pick roles only then. If I want to see the roles they have, but also the tasks that roll up into those roles, I can check it out that way. And then I can look at roles, tasks, and details, which is what I'm looking at right now. That's the view I'm using. And that's going to show me not only those tasks, but also the windows they can access and the reports that they can access from those tasks. So this is as much detail as I can get. All of this is printable. But if I come out here to the intersection of a role and a user, I can see right at a glance if they have access to it. So Ryan is not an accounting manager. SA, Sarah, and Tammy are. If Ryan is taking over for Sarah, I can right-click here and flip him from no to yes and give him access to that role right here. And I'm able to see everything he's going to get access to. Based on these no's, these are pieces that he can't currently access. If he's got a yes, there's most likely a piece in another role that he has that he's able to get to that particular, in this case, it's a report. So you can kind of see at a glance what people have access to. This can all be exported out to Excel or a CSV file. So if you want to make changes in Excel, maybe you're setting up a brand new company and you want to copy some stuff over but change a little bit here and there, you can send this out to Excel, make the changes in Excel, and then import the sheet back in for that new company, and your security is set. So we try to make it as easy as possible to manage that security. You can also still get to your user setup roles. So these are just the setups that GP offers. We just gave you another quick link so that you can get back to that. So that is Security Manager. Very popular tool. The next one I get a ton of calls on is Inactivity Timeout. The reason this is popular is because we all have users, or maybe you are that user, that logs into GP in the morning and sits there all day and doesn't actually work in GP. So maybe you checked something out, maybe you logged some time, what have you. Now we've maxed out the number of user licenses that we can get into at GP at any one time, and somebody that needs to get into the system can't. So then out comes the email and all that, get out of GP. So this is set up so that you don't have to send that email and you don't have to be that guy. So to turn on Inactivity Timeout or any other tool in the toolkit, click on the no smoking sign and make it a check mark. Very, very difficult. Then you just double click and open it up, and you set it up for what you want for your inactivity times. So this is meant to log you out gracefully. We'll put that out there first. It is the same as doing a file close or clicking on the red X. We're completely removing that user ID from the tables as well as from GP. So the next time they log in, they don't have to go and click delete user, you're already logged in, you know the drill. It's going to be completely cleaned out so that that is open for someone else to use. You can set a default amount of time for this. So in this case, 2 hours, it's kind of my catch-all. If you haven't done anything in 2 hours, it's time to get out. But we knew that this catch-all wasn't really a one-size-fits-all, so we created user groups. And we allow you to set those times individually for those user groups. So you can come and you can pick your different users that you want to toss into this group. This is my light user group. So Tammy and Sarah, they're not in here a whole lot. I put them into this group. I've included them so I can include or exclude a group. I usually exclude the admins. And then I've said that this group can only be inactive for 30 minutes before I time them out. And what it's looking for that activity is going to be a push or a pull of data from the tables. So if you are posting a batch and that batch takes 25, 35 minutes to post, I'm not going to log you out in the middle of posting that batch because you haven't technically done anything. Same with running a report, entering a transaction. If you're midway through a transaction and you get up and you leave, we aren't going to close out your GP because we don't know what to do with that transaction. Should we save it? Should we post it? Should we delete it? We don't know. So we're going to leave it and we're going to flash an annoying message on your screen until you come back and finish your work so we can log you up. But you don't have to worry about it closing during important things like that. But if you haven't done anything, or you just have a bunch of windows open, or you come in and you wiggle your mouse around a little bit, that is not an activity, and we will close GP on you. So that will free up the license so the next guy can get in and get some work done. So that is the inactivity timeout. Lots and lots of calls on that piece. All right, some other popular ones. I'm running a little short on time, so I want to get to a few of them. Mentor, this is going to be something that everyone can use. So Mentor is short for menu locator, and this is going to appear on all of your users' workstations, this little block. And if you click on it, it's kind of like SmartFill for finding windows. So SmartFill finds records, Mentor finds windows. So if you are new to GP and you don't know the navigation, or you are looking for a window that you go to once a year, like the year-end close window, or maybe a utility window, basically we're here to help you find it. So you tell Mentor whatever you know about the window you're looking for. Doesn't even have to be exact. I know I'm looking for paid trans something. I hit tab. This goes through my third-party products as well as my just standard GP and brings back the closest results to it. So I was looking for paid sales transaction removal. It found it with just paid trans. If I want to learn the path, it shows it to me, so I know that it's under Tools Routine Sales. But to save me the time of navigating, I can just double-click, and it's going to open that window right up for me. So bonus. I can add shortcuts at this point, too. So if that's a window I'm going to be in on a regular basis, I can add a shortcut. But on the security side, I always like to show this because it's kind of like a bonus security tool. We are going to allow the toolbox administrators to see how to give someone security to this window. So Kim comes up to me and says, hey, Alicia, I need to get into that window and I can't. Great. I can pull that window up in my Mentor. I can click on security, and this is going to tell me how to give Kim security. I can pull in her user right here if I want to. There we go. Let's pull in Tammy. I can check which company I want to give her access to, but I can see right here that this window only lives inside of this particular task, and this task is associated with these 3 roles. So if I need to give Kim access, I can see, hey, actually you do have access because you've got this little checkbox. But if these were all stop signs, I could just double click and it would give her access right here. Now that's going to go and it's going to update Security Manager for me. If I'm auditing, it's going to catch that and say, hey, we just gave Kim access in Auditor via security. So you can kind of see how all of these products play really nicely together. So that is Mentor. And last one I'll show you guys in the toolbox, just because it's kind of cool, is our period open and close. And it's right here. So this is, again, kind of a tool that everyone can use, or those of you that are have access to this particular piece of GP. Your fiscal periods can make you a little dizzy sometimes if you're looking at many, many, many screens of this. So this is my kind of fiscal period setup window. And you know that when you have to close these fiscal periods, you have to double-click on open, and then they turn to closed. And there's lots and lots of open and close on here. With the fiscal period open and close, we let you select multiple companies. So right now I only have Fabricam. We have one customer that has 140 GP companies. So this pretty much was the reason he wanted to buy Toolbox, just this one tool. I can select as many companies as I want. I pick the fiscal year that I'm wanting to close those periods in, and then I can come through and I can grab a couple of different periods. I can grab all my periods, whatever I want to do, and I can close based on individual series, the whole thing, or the whole year. So really easy for me to come in and say, okay, hey, I want to close the sales period for all of my companies in one click. And now I can see that that is closed in those 3 periods. If I need to reopen something, I can do the same thing. I've got the same options. So there I've just opened all the periods in all my companies. And I can also generate the next fiscal year. Just keeping in mind that it needs to be the same fiscal year period structure in each of the companies that you're creating it in. Easy as that. Very, very simple to use and very handy if you've got lots of GP companies. So with that, I'm going to pop up one more slide here. We wanted to make sure that you guys felt appreciated for attending today. So we are offering 15% off of any new Rockton software product purchase through March 31st. So if something caught your eye, let Kim or your rep at InterDyn BMI know, and they can work with me or anyone on our sales team to set up whether it's a free trial or just go ahead and straight purchase. You can do that. And at this point, I think I'll just open it up to Kim to see if there's any questions. Thank you guys so much for your time.
Alicia, great job. So I was thinking like this was Christmas anyhow. When you go through this, you guys have products that's kind of a GP admin's dream. So thank you so much for the 15% off. That was a nice surprise for us. So that's terrific. We'll make sure we get that communicated, and I'll follow up with you on more details. So again, everybody, you can always get a hold of, if you don't know who, user experiences at InterDyn BMI, and we'd be glad to help you out. Do want to also mention, Alicia, that so many of our customers are using your products, and so we do have the talent in-house for implementing and supporting the products. So what's beautiful about that for you as a customer is we know your environment, and we can look at just getting these things deployed, and then you're off and running. So excellent. Now, on the right-hand side, let's hit our question area, and it looks like Sue has a question that we're going to cover, but type those in, and we'll make sure that we get those addressed. So the first question is, what is the per user price for OmniPrice? Now this is the one thing I love about Rockton's website is, holy cow, you could just spend a great amount of time on understanding. Matter of fact, they even have free trials. For OmniPricing, Sue, to answer your question, is $360 per system user. You can find that information on what the product looks like. There's a brochure. There is a knowledge base. You can also work with us on setting up a personal demonstration so we can talk specifically about your needs, but you're also going to find prices on their website as well. So thank you for asking. All right, looks like we got some people saying love the products. So I don't see, let me see here if we've got anything else. Hold on for 1 second. Again, on the right-hand side, please type in any questions that you've got, and we're going to be able to address those. All right. So, all right, good deal here. What are other questions, Alicia, that are often asked in getting started with looking at your products?
One of the most common questions just has to do with pricing and how our stuff works. And essentially, you covered it awesome on our website. You can see the prices for every product. But just as a quick cheat sheet for you, you match the number of full system users that you have in GP with the number of Rockton licenses for any of our products. So we try to keep it really simple and easy. It's a one-time purchase for those users, and then you just pay the maintenance after that.
Great. And also what we do need to know when we order this is your version of software and the number of full user licenses. So we're not talking about the self-service, which is common amongst folks with payroll or HR. Excellent.
Right. Yep.
Do you charge for limited users? I think that should answer that question for us here. Another question just came in. It says, can you archive and audit? Because that's going on about right now for a lot of folks. Is that a possibility?
Yes, Auditor has an archive and purge function built right into it. So when you feel like you've got a lot of information in those smart lists or just in general, you can totally archive that. There's a utility built right in, super easy to use, just lets you pick and choose what you want to archive, and then you can always bring that information back, but then there's a purge feature just to clean it right out. So very easy to use.
Okay. Looks like the last question, it says, are you able to audit the SA user? Oh, there you go.
Yes.
That's a good question.
That is a good question. We do have a pre-built audit that basically puts an audit on every single field in GP specifically for the SA user. So we can track anything that SA does. So that is something for SOX compliance folks need to do. So we do have that already set up and built for you.
Excellent. Good answer. All right. And again, you can get a hold of Alicia or other folks over at Rockton at sales@rocktonsoftware.com or reach out to us. Again, we want to make sure that we understand what you're looking for so that we can help you making sure it's set up correctly within your environment. Alicia, any last words of advice before we let folks go?
Well, number one, have a happy Valentine's Day. And number two, just reach out to InterDyn. They are fantastic partners of ours. So if you've got questions, they've got answers.
Excellent. Good advice. Thank you.